Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am in a cabbage field on the U.S.-Mexican border. There is the border wall. Lots of cabbage fields out here. Look at these cabbage. Look at all this cabbage. It's a lot of cabbage around here. Now we're going to talk about cabbage fields. I am just south of Yuma, Arizona, between Yuma, Arizona and San Luis. And the border wall is right over here, folks. The border wall is right over here. And I want to talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about cabbage and the border wall, because there's lots of crops around here, folks. There's lots of crops around here in this particular area, right? And there's farmers. There's migrant workers. People out here, a lot of these crops will hit your kitchen table. Go to the grocery store. And then you got the border wall. Migrants on the other side of Mexico are crossing over the wall illegally, crossing over the border legally, whether they climbed over the wall, through the wall, or around vulnerabilities of the wall. Now, Border Patrol, they're out and about. There's Border Patrol right there. They are scouring and supposedly protecting our borders, though people think that Border Patrol is enabling the migrants coming through by not arresting them. But let's talk about the crops, because migrants who cross into the United States illegally in this area walk over and then walk through these crops. Not only walk through the crops, but also defecate and urinate in these crops, which causes contamination. And there has been a story about this particular issue, and I want to share that story with all of you. Check it out. People urinating in our field. A border farmer's flight under Biden administration policies. After Joe Biden became president, farmers in Yuma County, Arizona watched as illegal aliens soiled large sections of their crops. When the United States Border Patrol lost operational control of the border here in Yuma, we had a lot of people that were making it into the production areas. Farmer Corey Mellon told the Daily Signal. Among these illegal immigrants, Yuma farmers saw women nursing their babies in our field and people urinating in our field. There was a lot of loss, Mellon said. Mellon is a fifth generational farmer. He and his two older brothers own the family's 5,000-acre farm where they grow lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, and spinach in the winter, and cantaloupes, wheat, alfalfa, cotton, and other crops during the summer. Agriculture is the central industry in Yuma County, with about 90% of North Americans' winter leafy greens grown there. The Mellon farm is located about a mile from the U.S.-Mexico border, so illegal crossings by migrants didn't damage its crops, but many other Yuma County farmers were not so fortunate. Yuma farmers estimate they lost about $1 million worth of crops after illegal aliens entered their fields, because when those people made it through the border into the production fields, those fields had to be destroyed. He explained that food safety laws require farmers to destroy crops when there is a risk of contamination because unauthorized people have entered the fields. We got like 500 people living document of what we can and can't do, what we can and cannot allow. We have rules about intrusion into the production area, Mellon said, explaining that for a coyote track in the field, for example, a farmer can't harvest within 5 feet of each paw print. The cost of lost crops is solely on the farmer that was growing the crop, Mellon said. There's no insurance for that. There's no making that money up. So that was a loss to the farmer. And then obviously that crop never made it to the market, ultimately to feed our nation. At Morelos Dam, a central crossing point for illegal aliens because of the gap in the border wall, only a dirt road separates the opening in the wall from farmland. During the first couple weeks of the surge in illegal immigrants after Biden took office, Mellon said as many as 2,000 people a day crossed the border into Yuma County. The Border Patrol didn't have the resources to handle the search or quickly transport the illegal aliens from the farmland. In the fiscal year of 2020, U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported 8,800 encounters with illegal aliens in Yuma sector, which includes 126 miles of border with Mexico in both California and Arizona. In 2021, the number of those encounters rose to 114,000. During those first days, they couldn't get Border Patrol to pick them up because they didn't have the equipment or the manpower to do it, so they started ordering Ubers. They literally ordered Uber Eats. They ordered Ubers to town from farms on the border, he said, adding that they all have cell phones. The Border Patrol tries, but their hands are completely tied behind their back. They can't do their job. They're not allowed to do it. The initial problem of mass numbers of give-ups or illegal aliens seeking to encounter Border Patrol agents to claim asylum has slowed dramatically. Yuma farmer Kyle says, but he said the issue of gotaways walking through farm fields remains. The give-ups aren't really a food safety issue now because the Biden administration has catered them with bathrooms, referring to portable toilets located near many gaps in the border wall. His family owns a lemon farm about 8 miles from the border. The increase in illegal aliens crossing the border has led to more safety precautions on the farm, he said. So this is what's going on, people. People crossing over in Yuma. Unsecured wall. There's an Indian reservation there with no wall, and they're going into the fields, urinating, mothers nursing, defecating, walking through the crops. $1 million in damage. What's your thoughts? So yeah, it's a problem. Solution? Porta potties. How about the solution? Secure the wall. Secure the borders. And then maybe the farmers, crop people in this community won't have to deal with migrants coming across the United States illegally and stepping through their crops, stepping through their livelihood. $1 million in losses because of contamination due to people crossing over. Now from Yuma down to St. Louis, it's over 10 miles. It's almost 20 miles of just farmland. Farmland like this. Just it goes on and on. And look how far it goes. Just farmland of crops. Crops, 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 crops. Crops, crops, crops. So much crops. And then you got the border wall. Little canal here. And it just goes far as the eye can see. Far as the eye can see. Crops. Most likely somewhere in your grocery store, these crops will make it too. What's your thoughts? Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, covering the border crisis, covering the economic impacts to the border crisis and migrants. Do you want, the cabbage and the food that you eat? Do you want to, eat it and know that maybe some sort of migrant that crossed over the border illegally stepped on it? Or urinated on it or defecated on it? I don't think so. You want fresh crops. You want clean crops. You want good, tasty crops. You don't want contaminated crops. And if you ever ate any crops and you got sick, I'm wondering, is it because somebody stepped on it or contaminated it by urinating or defecating, pooping on it, whatever you want to call it, because, these crops are by the border wall and the border wall is not secure. Unless you think the border wall is secure. We'll talk soon. Check out my playlist. I am on the U.S. border. JLR investigates. Be safe.